This was the moment a life changed forever. In a shower of confetti, a man who had spent over 2 decades working in the quiet hallways of a middle school was suddenly on top of the world. Richard Goodall, the humble janitor with a powerhouse voice, had just captured the heart of America by winning America's Got Talent and its prize of a staggering $1 million. So what comes next? You know the drill: the record deal, the whirlwind tour, a new life of glamour and fame. Future as far away as possible from mops and floor wax. A Hollywood mansion seemed like the next logical step for the man from Terre Haute, Indiana. But what Richard Goodall did next wasn't what anyone predicted. It wasn't what the show's fairy tale narrative sets you up for, and it was definitely not the typical path for a reality TV champion. Instead of jumping headfirst into the rock star life he had so clearly earned, he did something that baffled millions. He went back to work. He returned to the same school, the same hallways, the same job he had before anyone even knew his name. The story of what really happened after the cameras stopped rolling is more surprising, more complex, and ultimately more inspiring than his incredible journey to the top. It's a story not just about a golden voice, but about the true definition of a golden life. And it reveals a shocking truth about that $1 million prize that the show doesn't exactly advertise. Before the world knew him as the singing janitor, Richard Goodall was simply Richard, a friendly face at West Vigo Middle School in Terre Haute, Indiana. For 23 years, his life was a steady rhythm of routine and a quiet dedication to a job many might overlook. He was the guy making sure the building was clean, safe, and ready for the daily chaos of students and teachers. In his own words, it's a humble job, but he was the person making sure everything that needed to get done got done. But this unassuming custodian had a secret passion that filled the empty corridors after the last bell. Richard loved to sing, not for fame, not for an audience, but for the pure joy of it. His powerful, soulful voice would echo through the gymnasium, a huge contrast to the quiet dedication of his daily work. The rock anthems of his heroes, especially bands like Journey, were his private soundtrack. For him, music was an escape and a way to breathe. It was a personal gift he mostly kept to himself. He'd been singing since he was a kid, practicing in the shower and the car, far from any stage. He never really had dreams of being a star. He wanted to perform, sure, but for the love of singing itself, not for the notoriety that might come with it. Life in Terre Haute was grounded and predictable. Hollywood was practically another planet. For a man who had never even been on an airplane before his AGT journey, the idea of global stardom wasn't just a distant dream. It wasn't even on his radar. His path to the public eye didn't start with some grand plan. It started, like many modern stories, with a cell phone video. In 2022, someone filmed him performing Journey's iconic anthem, "Don't Stop Believin'," right there in the school. The video went viral. Suddenly, the janitor from Indiana was being heard by millions. The raw power of his voice coming from such an unexpected source was captivating. It was this viral moment that put him on the radar of the producers at America's Got Talent. Urged on by his then-fiancée, now wife Angie, Richard decided to take a chance. He was just a regular guy, scared out of his wits, but he went for it. This time, everything would be different. When Richard Goodall first stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage for the season 19 premiere, he was visibly nervous. He was there by himself. He and his fiancée, Angie, couldn't afford for her to fly out with him. He looked like a man who had spent his life far from the spotlight, soft-spoken, humble, and completely disarming. He admitted he'd never been west of Missouri and had never been on a plane. He described the feeling of takeoff as being off balance and a floating sensation where you're no longer stable. That, he said, was exactly what this whole experience felt like. Then, the music started. He chose the song that started it all, Journey's "Don't Stop Believin'." From the very first note, the entire mood in the auditorium changed. The nervous janitor disappeared, and a rock star showed up. The voice that boomed from this unassuming man was a total revelation. A perfect mix of power, control, and raw emotion. The judges, Simon Cowell, Heidi Klum, Howie Mandel and Sofia Vergara, were stunned. Simon leaned forward, a look of disbelief on his face, even doing his own little dance. The audience was on its feet before he even hit the final chorus. When the last note rang out, the room erupted. The crowd's roar was a wave of sound Richard never saw coming. He completely lost it, the emotion of the moment just washing over him. The judge's praise was through the roof, but it was Heidi Klum who was the most moved. In a moment of pure TV magic, she declared she was over the moon and slammed her hand on the golden buzzer. Confetti rained down, and Richard Goodall, the janitor from Indiana, was sent straight to the live shows. He never dreamed a German supermodel would run up and hug him. That moment cemented him as the season's definitive underdog. His audition video exploded online, racking up tens of millions of views. His journey through the live shows was a masterclass in connecting with the audience. He wasn't about flashy staging or crazy costumes. His voice was the spectacle. He took on some of the biggest classic rock ballads ever. His performance of Michael Bolton's "How Am I Supposed to Live Without You" showed a tender, vulnerable side to his vocals. Then he tackled Survivor's "Eye of the Tiger," another underdog, anthem, and delivered it with a ferocity that felt deeply personal. Each week he won America over more and more, not just with his talent but with his genuine humility. For the semifinals, he went back to his favorite band, performing Journey's "Faithfully." It was so sincere it felt like a love letter to his wife and his life back home. He was connecting with people on a level that went way beyond entertainment. In the UK, they even started calling him America's Susan Boyle, a nod to another ordinary person with an extraordinary, world-changing voice. By the finale, Richard Goodall was a phenomenon. He came full circle, once again singing "Don't Stop Believin'." But this time he shared the stage with members of Journey itself, including legendary guitarist Neil Schon. Standing next to the rock gods who wrote the soundtrack to his life, Richard didn't just hold his own. He shined. It was the perfect end to his journey. A janitor who sang their songs in empty hallways was now performing with them on the biggest stage in the country. He said it wasn't just on a bucket list, it was on a top-shelf bucket list, something you could never imagine would actually happen. The tension in the theater during the season 19 finale was off the charts. After weeks of incredible performances and shocking eliminations, it all came down to this. 10 acts stood on the stage, but all eyes were on the man from Terre Haute. Richard Goodall stood there, looking just as humble as he did on day one, the weight of the moment hanging in the air. Host Terry Crews started the dramatic process of narrowing down the finalists. One by one, amazing talents were sent home. The competition was tough, featuring acts like the incredible drone artists Sky Elements and the charming dog act Ronnie Sagi and Rhythm. Finally, it was down to two: Richard Goodall, the singing janitor, and the fan-favorite dog act. The contrast couldn't be starker. Terry Crews held the envelope. The camera zoomed in on Richard's face, a mix of hope, anxiety, and pure disbelief that he'd even made it this far. He went into every round expecting to go home. He'd already performed with Journey. Anything else was just a bonus. The winner, Terry Crews boomed, his voice echoing through the silent theater, of the $1 million and the headlining show in Las Vegas is... The place exploded. Confetti cannons went off, showering the stage. The judges leaped to their feet. Heidi Klum, his golden buzzer champion, rushed the stage to give him a huge hug, just like in his first audition. Richard seemed to collapse, his hands covering his face as tears of joy streamed down. His cheeks, he was just in awe, completely overwhelmed. In interviews just hours after his win, the one word he kept repeating was surreal. It was the only word that fit. A man who earned his living with a mop was now the champion of America's biggest talent show. The victory felt like a win for every regular person with a hidden dream. As Judge Howie Mandel said, Richard had an added value that just made your heart burst. And in a life-altering week, the win wasn't his only major milestone. Just days before the finale, he married the love of his life, Angie Vanovan, turning a week of unbelievable professional success into one of profound personal joy. It was a new, unscripted chapter in his life. After the confetti was swept away, the world watched and waited. Winning. America's Got Talent is supposed to be a launchpad to a different life. It means managers, agents, recording studios, and a one-way ticket out of your old town. Everyone expected Richard to trade his janitor's keys for a tour bus key, but that's not what happened. In a move that was maybe even more shocking than his Golden Buzzer audition, Richard Goodall went home to Terre Haute, Indiana, and returned to his job at West Vigo High School. Months after winning, he was still there. In June of 2025, he posted a picture on Instagram from inside the school with the caption, "Waxing floors today. Hope your day is a great one." In July, another post showed him cleaning the cafeteria. This wasn't just some symbolic visit. It was his job. He was still a janitor. This was the ultimate twist in the Richard Goodall story. Why would a man with $1 million voice who supposedly just won $1 million prize go back to manual labor? The answer tells you everything about the man and peels back the curtain on reality TV. His choice wasn't because of a lack of opportunity. In fact, offers were flooding in. He now had a manager helping him navigate his new music career. Concerts and performances were starting to fill his calendar. He was flying to new places to sing. But through it all, the school remained his anchor. He told NBC Insider, "I'll continue to work at the school until, I can't anymore." This decision says a lot about his character. Richard is a man who values stability and community. That school wasn't just a workplace. It was a huge part of his identity for over 2 decades. It's where he felt grounded. While the world saw a superstar in the making, the students and staff at West Vigo just saw Richard, the same guy they saw Monday through Friday. And he seemed to like it that way. Fame was never the goal. The win was life-changing, but it didn't change him. He explained that for him and his wife, their life had suddenly become unscripted for the first time, and that money aside, the opportunities were endless. Yet, in the face of endless possibilities, he chose the familiar, the stable, the real. He was smartly balancing his new life with his old one, planning to take a leave of absence eventually to see where the music career could go, but he wasn't ready to let go of the security his job provided. It was the choice of a man who knew exactly who he was before the world told him who he should be. But there was another, far more practical reason for his caution, a reason tied directly to that glittering prize. The phrase, $1 million prize, is the flashy cornerstone of America's Got Talent. It's presented as a life-shattering windfall that instantly turns the winner into a millionaire. For a janitor from small-town Indiana, that kind of money sounds like a fairy tale. But the reality of that prize is one of the biggest, most misunderstood secrets in reality TV. Here's the catch. Winning AGT does not mean they hand you a check for $1 million. At the end of every episode, a disclaimer flashes on screen. So quickly you definitely miss it. It reads, "The prize, which totals $1,000, is payable in a financial annuity over 40 years, or the contestant may choose to receive the present cash value of such annuity." This one sentence changes everything, and it sheds a lot of light on why Richard's decision to keep his job isn't just humble, it's incredibly smart. So let's break that down. The first option is the 40-year annuity. If a winner chooses this, they get a payment of $25,000 a year, before taxes quickfund for 40 years. While an extra $25K a year is nice, it's not exactly quit your job and buy a mansion money. After taxes, it's significantly less, hardly enough to live on while trying to launch a music career. A young winner could be eligible for AARP before they even get their final payment. The second option is a lump sum of the present cash value. The show doesn't disclose the exact amount, but financial experts and publications like Forbes have estimated it's somewhere around $300,000 before taxes. After federal and state taxes, the actual take-home amount could be closer to $150,000 to $200,000. Now that is still a life-changing amount of money for most people, but it's a far, far cry from the seven-figure prize they advertise. It's enough to provide a cushion, pay off debt, and make smart investments, but it doesn't guarantee financial security for life. This financial reality has drawn criticism over the years, with many calling it misleading. For Richard Goodall, it grounds his story in a powerful way. His decision to go back to waxing floors isn't just about humility, it's about stability. A music career is never guaranteed. Gigs can be sporadic. His job as a janitor, however, provides a steady paycheck, benefits, and a connection to his community. He can use the prize money, whichever option he chose, as a safety net to build his music career, not as a replacement for a steady income. He's thankful for the money, but he said clearly that he cares more about the music and the people. The money provides comfort, but his job provides a foundation. He's not just the humble janitor, he's the wise man who understood the reality of his situation and made an intelligent decision to build a sustainable future. Today, Richard Goodall is living a hybrid life, one foot planted in the familiar hallways of West Vigo High, the other stepping onto stages across the country. His life has absolutely changed, but he's doing it his way. He's navigating the strange new world of fame while holding on tight to the life he's always known. He's still the same guy, just balancing two different worlds. His music career is picking up steam. With the help of his manager, concerts and performance opportunities are popping up more frequently. He's performed at major events and has even teased that he's been in Nashville working on original music, with a new single titled "Long Time Coming" on the way. He recently returned to the AGT stage for the show's 20th anniversary special, delivering a killer cover of "Eye of the Tiger." These are the moments he dreamed of, the chance to perform and share his gift. Yet this new life runs parallel to his old one. He still has to take time off from his janitor duties to play these shows carefully, managing his schedule. His school has been incredibly supportive, giving him the flexibility to chase his dream. As he put it, "I'm still at the school, but things are going on behind the scenes. A lot of amazing things are just popping up, and so I'll continue to work at the school until, I can't anymore." He knows that if his concert schedule gets too demanding, a decision will have to be made. But for now, he's embracing the dual life. The impact of his journey has been huge, and it goes far beyond his own life. He gets messages from people all over the world who say his story inspired them to take a chance on their own forgotten dreams. One woman who cleaned hotels was inspired to apply for a better job after seeing him succeed. This, Richard says, is the real prize. More than the money or the fame, inspiring people is the awesome byproduct of his entire journey. He believes that people need stories of hope to hold on to believe that anything is possible. Richard Goodall's story is a powerful reminder that success isn't always measured in record sales or Hollywood headlines. His journey didn't end with a shower of confetti. That's where it began. It's the story of a man who got the chance to have a brand new life and instead chose to enrich the one he already had. He reminds us there's dignity in all work, that community is priceless, and that true wealth is about knowing who you are. He took that off-balance feeling of fame and found his footing by staying connected to his roots. The janitor with the golden voice didn't just win a talent show. He taught a lesson in what it means to live a rich life, proving that you don't have to stop believing in your dreams, but you also don't have to abandon the person you were when those dreams finally come true. What do you think of Richard's decision? Would you have done the same thing? Let us know in the comments below. And for more stories about where your favorite contestants are now, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell.